Linux OTC. Welcome to episode 6. We're your hosts. I'm Bill.
I'm Norbert.
And I'm Leo.
Yeah. All right, so we got 3 topics, I suppose, today we was wanting to talk about. Obviously, we're going to get into the TikTok thing, but also literally developing in real time is this thing with Docker. And then Leo wants to talk about his framework laptop, which...
Not my framework. A different
Not yet,
framework.
anyway.
Oh, you're right. That's the one.
Apparently, there's been some developments for that. So, yeah, cool. It's... So what do we say about TikTok? Let's start with that. Let's get that out of the way.
Okay.
So TikTok.
Got to check ourselves on this one, man. Be careful. Be careful.
I don't know how careful I want to be about it because I think the number one problem is that I think people that don't understand technology should probably not be making decisions for the rest of us.
Well, the way it's supposed to work, is people that don't understand technology that also write laws are supposed to get people that do understand technology to explain it to them in a way that they could write laws. I mean,
Okay.
Not everybody's going to be a techno person. You're going to have technophobes, but you're supposed to surround yourself with people smarter than you. That's the point. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, and I agree. And I wonder, though, that somehow in the process of trying to accumulate the right people in your staff that know these things, is it like anything else? You're looking for people that are bought into the same narrative that you are.
I think that's what happens, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if it doesn't even seem to matter that you've got technical people on staff.
I mean, you got like the Jafar people. Y'all seen Aladdin? You got Jafar folks
Yeah.
like slithering into your ear, telling you things that aren't true. And then you look real dumb at those hearings, right? I can't imagine.
The questions they were asking. Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine. Are you 100% positive that bad things will never, ever, ever happen? Like, no one could ever say yes to that question. No one.
And these are things they're aware of, is that these are loaded questions
Oh, yeah.
that have no way, that are designed to do nothing except display the fact that somebody cannot come up with an answer.
What's funny is they're getting these little clips so they can put them on TikTok. That's what's happening.
Were there hearings specifically about TikTok?
Okay, so here in the United States, I don't know, maybe you could describe this better, Leo, but the bottom line is, here in the United States, there's a huge push, a bipartisan push. These guys can't agree on what day it is, but they can agree that TikTok should be banned from the United States.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that, I think, for about 4 years now.
And for all of the problems that we have that need fixing, this is the thing that is getting the most bipartisan support. This is like 9/11 levels of bipartisan support, where TikTok is viewed upon as a method for a foreign country to gather usable information on our citizens, and it's also convoluted, but it's because people... The kind of questions that were being asked in the hearing were things like, can you 100% assure me that this app cannot access the
basically
wireless credentials?
Yeah, and send data back to the CCP, right?
And had I been there, I probably would have made it worse. Because if I'd have been there, I'd have said, well, if any application can access wireless credentials, then the problem is not with that application, it's with Android and iOS.
So these kind of things might be better addressed by auditing the source code and not in a hearing.
Maybe, but I think the problem is that it's that they're being very xenophobic about it, right? Like, TikTok does things that every social media app does on every device.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Facebook has been caught doing the exact same things.
Right there. I think you called it what it is, though. The fact that it's not Facebook, it's not Google.
Yeah.
It's not any American
It's
companies.
It's obvious. It's because it's not an American company that we're real pissed off about it and that we're trying to oust it. I think what we need, instead of xenophobic fervor, to get rid of an app that, I mean, lots of folks use. I don't like TikTok.
I use it. I'm not afraid to admit it.
No, look, I use it through my wife. There's some funny stuff out there. I think it's hilarious. It's great. But I think what we need instead of trying to get rid of this app is the people that are trying to get rid of the app need to instead work on privacy laws for us, so that when an app comes along that is from another country that we're going to get real mad about, you have to follow the law or we oust you. Like, we should have the rules instead of just being mad about something like this. We should be mad at Facebook. We should be mad at Google, and we should be mad about every single company out there that are using our data to just make cash hand over fist, and stuff's not good, man. Our privacy is worth more than
throwing Microsoft for good measure as well.
Oh yeah. Throw Microsoft in there, please. Yes.
What's interesting is that this discussion is kind of reminding me of what was going on with in the EU and the American companies, where the EU accused Facebook of not being compliant with GDPR, and then Facebook said that what they are asking is not viable for them, and then the EU said, Facebook said that if it comes to that, they would have to just leave the EU, and the EU said, okay, go ahead.
Oh, please don't do.
And it's interesting
exactly
because it's
what we want.
It's interesting because it's the same companies in Europe that everyone's using. So Facebook and even TikTok and everything.
Yeah, really, Facebook's gonna leave millions of dollars, billions of dollars on the table just to make a stand. No, they won't. They'll take their cut, what they can get. They will. That's just how these companies roll.
The other interesting thing about Google and Facebook is that these companies should be like rolling guns blazing into this story in support for TikTok, because if you can ban TikTok, you set the precedence that you can ban anything. One visibly absent force of nature right now is any of these other tech companies, any of these other content provider platforms coming to TikTok's rescue. Now, why is that, I wonder?
Because they're going to benefit when TikTok's gone.
Because they are going to benefit, and perhaps they are part of the force that has brought this whole thing in to begin with.
Yeah, monopolies, or at least what do you call those, duopolies, triopolies, whatever you want to call it, without too much effort, and the government's going to do it for us. Yeah, let's fund some Congress people.
I mean, it's inescapable, the idea that the one thing above all else that's going on here is that you've got a foreign company that is eating Facebook's lunch, that's eating Instagram's lunch, that's providing a service that cannot be outdone.
Does anybody actually watch Instagram Reels? Not on purpose.
I never have. I've seen one or two YouTube shorts, and that just because, a lot of the same providers will make content for all three, or I don't even know how many there are now, at least 3 platforms. And I'll see them from time to time, but it's nowhere near as prolific as TikTok is.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, when I heard that it's very likely to happen, I suppose, I announced on Facebook that if it does happen, I was going to post a tutorial on how to get around it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, even if I can help people, and it depends greatly on how they block it. If they just block the app, then it's just a simple matter of sideloading an APK on an Android or some sort of VPN solution.
Well, that still kicks off all of the Apple folks. That's going to be
if you can get a VPN going on the Apple device and trick the device into thinking it's in literally anywhere else in the world,
Yeah.
then you can get the app. And once you've got the app,
I wonder about that. There are U.S. carrier tied Apple devices that you can buy. When you buy them from the carrier, they're usually tied to the carrier. I wonder if there's not something. I guess I'd have to ask someone with one of those types of devices. If you have an Apple device that's tied to a U.S. carrier, I'm curious.
if and when this does happen, I'm going to have some research to do, and I don't have an Apple device.
Can
so.
you swap to like a Canada VPN and get I don't know, use the Canadian App Store? Is it different? I don't know.
I think
I think so. Yeah,
what App Store you can use
different...
isn't it tied to what bank account where you have your bank account?
Oh,
no.
see.
I hope not.
Ah, that's going to be a good one.
I mean,
isn't that the first time I've heard that?
Isn't that already a thing?
What was that?
Isn't that already a thing?
I don't know. I don't try to get apps from different app stores. So,
well, on Android you're sorted. So the first thing I'll tell these people is go get an Android tablet.
Okay, you're not sorted though. You make it sound like it's easy to just flop F-Droid on there, but it's not. And you make it sound like it's super duper easy to get a VPN that'll get you overseas or whatever, but it's not. For people that are in the same boat as the congressmen and women that are making these decisions, it ain't that simple.
No, it's going to take somebody looking after them, and for some people, I will help people as much as I can. But
is TikTok that valuable?
For me, it's just, you know what? Screw you. This is how you do it anyway.
So you're just ornery.
Right. And of course, it doesn't. The biggest problem is going to be the content creators. After this does happen, most of your American content creators are going to go bye-bye. They're going to go somewhere else.
They're going to go to YouTube. YouTube Shorts. That's where it's going to be.
That's where it's going to be. I want to be able to demonstrate how fragile the whole concept is, that you can get rid of this, but you cannot take something that exists in cyberspace. There's a word we haven't heard in a while. and completely remove it from the story completely. That again, people that don't understand technology should just sit down and shut up, honestly.
Isn't sideloading... I was
hoping...
It's not about the technology, though. It's not about it. That's not what this is about.
Isn't sideloading going to be a thing on iOS?
See, that's the other thing. I was kind of hoping, because there's something going around with GDPR and all that stuff where they're demanding, or is that here in the States? I don't know.
I think it's over here, but does that mean it will be a thing in the US as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Because
is that
it's not like the USB-C, which is easiest to just implement everywhere. If it's a software thing, they can just say, okay, we are going to comply with this in Europe, but we're not going to let people anywhere else to sideload.
Yeah. And I have a feeling it'll be that way. Plus, I know where you can get an APK. It's not going to be quite so obvious. Where I don't even know what the iOS package is.
You don't, because
if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm sure you can, but I mean, you have to jailbreak your phone, and then like half the stuff doesn't work on your phone anymore.
Nobody's going to do that because they're all under warranty. They're going right. So, I don't know. This will be a developing story, and it is a heavily emotionally charged topic.
I'm happy to see him go. I just want the rest of them to go, too.
I mean, there's a lot of people that make their living off of TikTok, and the thing I love about it is it brings out a level of creativity that I didn't even know existed in normal human beings.
YouTube did that before YouTube was bought by Google. We can do that again. The internet is amazing. The internet,
but that was in a time when devices weren't sitting in everybody's hand.
Sure,
where you had unlimited data and all that kind of stuff at your disposal. I mean, watching video. I mean, in that time, arguably, most people didn't have a computer that could really, or the internet service that could handle watching videos. It was a little precarious in those days. A lot of people were still on dial-up at the time Google bought YouTube.
Oh yeah, downloading a video was terrible.
It was you almost had to like set it up and then go to work and then come home and hope that it didn't.
I mean, that's how I had to do Napster.
Napster. Yeah, LimeWire and Morpheus and
Oh no, those were nothing compared to Napster. Napster
Aries.
was amazing.
Napster opened the floodgates, I think, for
poor Napster, man. They went good. They're like a subscription service now, and nobody uses them.
Yeah, they're owned by somebody.
It's so sad.
Legit, yeah. The guy that started it, I think he's doing okay. We needn't worry about him. And he's kind of like that guy that started MySpace. That was one weird thing that popped up when all this started. Like somebody, the universe pours vacuum.
Tom, come back.
Well, I mean, MySpace already exists, and it still exists, and it is already stood up. I sign into it from time to time.
MySpace exists the same way Napster exists. It's not the same, and like this,
but it's about media, though. I mean, it's set up to be. Yeah, I mean, it could be a replacement. Do we really want an American company? I don't want something like that, but of course I'm not a politician, and if I was, nobody would listen to me anyway, so, Speaking of emotionally charged subjects, Docker. So if anybody's not been keeping up, one thing going on with Docker is, okay, so at some point prior to March 16th, Docker sent out an email to all of the Docker free team, quote unquote, members, letting them know that their projects would be removed from GitHub. And this of course,
well, not GitHub. It's
or not GitHub.
It's about
Docker Hub. I'm sorry,
where the container images are hosted.
Right, and which, I mean, the proper shitstorm occurred after which, and on the 16th they issued a blog post stating that they screwed up the communication of what was getting ready to happen, which happens in open source for some reason. But it was one of those things. Sorry, we described it wrong. We released it wrong, but we're still doing it. And then as of today, and let me make sure I'm right on this, March 24th, actually, so yesterday, they released a blog statement stating that they were no longer sunsetting the free team plan, which basically amounted to a lot. What they were trying to do, I suppose, was end free support for projects on Docker Hub that had a clear commercial path.
Yeah, basically there are 3 tiers. The basic one, the personal one, when I think you have a limit on how much download you can have of your projects, and then there's
right.
the second one, this free one, and there's the paid one. And a lot of big open source projects were using the free one, and so they would, if it was discontinued, they would either have to go to the limited one or the paid one. And most of these projects don't make enough money for them to.
So it's like $400 or something like that
year.
A month.
But it's per year, right?
Oh, per year? Was it per year? Okay.
I think it was per year, but I'm not sure now. Maybe it's per month.
But that's a non-zero number for sure. And I mean, we've already got a problem with open source funding. And I mean, of course, yeah, that's the same problem that Docker Inc. is suffering right now is the problem that they were they were looking to pass off onto their, the people that were using their infrastructure. But
no,
I mean,
more
I
free
use
lunches. That was the rallying call of Docker Inc.
Yeah, and I don't know what the answer to this is, because this whole thing stands on people. If you enjoy the projects, if you're getting value out of the projects that you use, then you should contribute back to those projects as best you can. The problem is that most people do not. The vast majority of people do not, and there are some people who are philosophically opposed to paying for anything in open source. And so, how do you deal with that?
What a weird take. Hold on. People that are philosophically opposed to paying for open software.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, because it's this
they want the free as in freedom, but also free as in beer, and that is it.
they live in a dream world, I think, where the internet and all of the stuff on it is the property of the people.
The open source fairies pay for the
Yeah.
development of this stuff.
Right, and they bring everybody groceries every week, and
Right.
they pay for your daycare, and
No joke. And then DoorDash just shows up with like Wendy's and whatever. What?
But it exists, and I mean, and it's
Why?
not a.
I want to talk.
It's a
to one of
non-zero
you.
number of people. I mean, yeah. Write into the show. Let us know what you think about that.
Philosophically
OTC.
opposed to paying for software
Yeah.
because
Well, I mean-
because there's a human behind that. Okay, but you know what?
Well, you got this sort of Stallmanite idea that
Yeah, but even
If you're-
Stallman pays for stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking that
I wonder if
Free-
they're against paying for it or if they're against the expectation of paying for it.
What is the difference?
Oh
Like-
God,
like-
everything.
If I create something and I stick a PayPal thing there or whatever, LibrePay. Let's be free about things. I put LibrePay there, then someone that might have paid for it won't pay for it because I'm asking?
Yeah,
What?
I didn't say it made sense.
Oh my, yeah, right into the show. Please explain this to me.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to straw man this argument because I feel like that's what I'm already doing. So tell me what this means. Why, if you hold this idea that it's just improper to pay for software or you just don't want to pay for software, why? That is okay.
I think it should be. I mean, if anybody wonders what I think these you ought to be able to have a method of doing these things whether you can afford it or not. That being said, if you can afford it, you need to help.
Yeah, I mean,
And if they're
sure, there's you carve out the caveat for the guy that just doesn't have money.
yeah,
Sure, I don't think anybody would look down on that. But I mean, you got an extra $1 just sitting there.
FlatHub is working on a solution similar to the Elementary
and
store,
all
so,
of these
so that you can
people
have.
are gonna stop using Flatpak or FlatHub at least because of it. Maybe not.
But-
I don't know.
But
I wonder about that. I wonder if people that are so opposed to funding an open source, if they're if they're the people that are opposed to paying for software, if they'll stop using Flatpaks, which will still be available for
But
free.
isn't-
They're definitely
if I
not
understand.
using Elementary.
aren't free licenses mainly for the source code? Because the Libre software means you are free to study the code and change it and redistribute the code.
Right, but it's
So
not about the code.
just because the code is licensed under Libre, and I'm saying Libre just so that
Sure.
to underscore that it's not free as in beer in a Libre license. A lot of software projects have their source code available, but they will charge for precompiled binaries, and I kind of like that approach because it complies with the free license, but it still lets them have a source of income, and it still means that the source code can be audited and
You know
it's
what?
transparent.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right?
And
Like,
I'm not saying that every free software project should paywall their binaries. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it being a free and open source project doesn't mean you have to be also free of charge.
right, but that if the source code is free, then you just have somebody on GitHub fork it and create the binaries for free,
Yes, but
and then everybody
yeah.
can use that project.
But
instead.
that's one less resource that you're putting into it. Maybe there is something to that. Provide the source code for free because there's really no way without using another type of license. But then if you want a binary, you're going to have to throw us a buck or
Yeah,
two.
but that's what I'm saying though. Like, what's stopping anybody from just compiling them, and
Nothing.
then offering them up?
yeah, but that's
For
where
free.
the pay what you want model comes in that Elementary is using, because you
Yeah,
can
but everybody
just
hated that because because you had to actually type 0 in the box. Oh, woe is me! How terrible that I have to tell you I don't want to pay you anything. Oh, my heart.
Well, then
I wonder
then let's
though
say
if the elementary model might be successful though because it is paying 2 full-time salaries.
Yeah. I get the accessibility part of that, where it was not clear for a while that you could put 0 in the box. I don't know if it is now, but if it's not, this should be there.
Yeah.
There should be a dollar or $0 one that you should click.
You don't have a click. You got to actually type 0.
Right.
Yeah,
But
okay,
if it's not
then
clear
let's say that
you
there
can,
is-
was that?
Okay, then let's say that there is a $0 button that you can just press.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the exact implementation of what FlatHub is doing will be, but I think it will be also implemented in things like GNOME Software and KDE Discover. So you can have I don't even know if the Elementary store, App Store with for paying for apps has a $0 button.
Yeah, it does.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's not a button. You got to type 0 in.
Yeah, but I'm
I
wondering-
think it asks every time you upgrade, like, do
Yeah.
you want to change this? Unless you've paid
But
for
it never
it.
stops you. It never stops you, and it never paywalls you, and it never.
And it does not ask if you do it in the command line.
Wait, can you
Yeah,
set
that's
a
true.
monthly recurring payment for apps in Elementary?
I don't know.
That would also be cool.
That I don't
would also
know.
be cool. I mean, I would love to have that convenient way, so I can just, if I download the software that I'm using often, to be able to just, like on Patreon, to be able to set like a $1 per month recurring payment for all of the apps that I have installed, or maybe just a subset of the apps I have installed. And like GNOME Software would handle it automatically. And maybe in a way that if I uninstall the software, it will ask me, do I want to stop this payment?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I'd like that.
All right. Well, I think we beat that about as much as I care to. Write in, let us know what you think about that whole thing, because this whole thing with Docker, I mean, this isn't the last time we're going to hear a story like this.
No, they took away the free thing, but then they gave it back, right? We didn't even talk about that.
They gave
part.
it right back. So yeah, yesterday was the latest blog post where they said, and they to their credit, the message is, after listening to feedback and consulting our community, it's clear that we made the wrong decision in sunsetting our free team plan. Last week, we felt our communications were terrible, but our policy was sound. It's now clear that both the communications and the policy were wrong, so we're reversing course and no longer sunsetting the free team plan. Now, the optimist would say, that's great, thanks a lot, and then go back to what we're doing. The pessimist would say, yeah, well, you're just going to chip away at it piece by piece
I guarantee it.
until we...
That's where I'm at. They're going to do this again. They're just going to craft the communication and the policy better, and it'll be.
Or they'll do it slowly. They'll kind of like one step at a time start removing certain things until they end up where they wanted to be in the first place.
I think they found out pretty quick once they started to sunset this and said, "Well, don't worry, there was the open source one that you could apply to," and then they looked at the backlog that they had. I mean, it was group after team after group after team saying, we've never heard anything when we applied, and we qualify, but we've never heard anything. So, and now they had to start working on that.
Right.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's coming back. It'll happen again. Docker needs money, so it's coming back.
I worry about this a little bit because I mean, I lean on a lot of Docker technology. My Jellyfin server, the Collabora server that is giving us the Nextcloud Office functionality. That is a Docker image. What else? Oh, audio. What is that called? Audiobook server or whatever. The thing that Joe turned me on to. That's a Docker image.
I don't know.
No, it's an audiobook thing.
I just know he said
actually
the word
pretty
mopedy a lot.
So yeah, I worry that the things that I use is going to be part of this thing because, and I don't know. I don't think that Jellyfin falls under a category of a clear commercial path. But there you go. So watch this space. Hopefully this thing won't come back to bite us again. But it's just one more. It's one more sort of sloppy misstep in the process of a company fledgling in the effort to come up with a funding model. You know, it almost feels like desperation sometimes. And you don't want something like Docker to go away. You don't want it to get bought up. I mean, they were offered a lot of money, or what seemed like a lot of money some
hold
years
on.
back.
So Google Docker wouldn't be a good thing? What do you mean?
I think they were offered. Microsoft offered a couple billion, something like that, at some point, and they turned it down. And now, of course, but do we want Microsoft running Docker? I don't know. I probably don't.
No, let TikTok buy it.
Oh yeah, there you go. Then we'd be in Congress. Boy, they really wouldn't know the right questions to ask for something like that, would they?
Out of these Congress hearings, I've only ever seen the first one with Zuckerberg. And there was one with I think Google CEO.
Yeah.
And see, these people are successful in conveying their message to the congressmen. They'll get they'll come in for a bit of a hand slapping and then sent on their way with some very minor, I don't even know if they were sanctioned at all or what, and almost nothing changes. Something like this happens. We bring in the CEO, but it feels like it's for no other reason than to bring this dirty little foreigner in front of all of our learned men and women of law, and it's a bloodbath. But more on that later. Watch the space and all that. Anyway, moving on. The Framework laptop.
No. The Framework laptops. Because there is now a 16-inch option. Man, when this laptop came out, the only refrain I ever heard was, "Oh, it's a nice idea, but it'll flop. I don't like a 13-inch laptop, and these repairable laptops, they just never go anywhere." Well, Framework's still here. They've been last year they added a 12th gen Intel model. So the first model was an 11th gen. That's what I have. That's what I'm recording on. It's what I've been using for the past year and a half. Yeah, I got mine right before they announced the 12 stuff. And it's been fantastic. The only, I guess, downside is the screen resolution. 200's a little too big. 200 scaling is a little too big. 100 scaling is a little too small. So somewhere in the middle's the sweet spot. I think that's 150. But anyway, scaling, as we all know, is not Linux's forte. However, KDE Plasma and GNOME in 44 and beyond are getting real good at it. I think the last time I've been playing around with Plasma on Tumbleweed, and all of my apps scale properly now.
Yes.
They're not blurry.
I've got it on Arch, and it's just brilliant now.
Yeah. So
the thing about GNOME and the fractional scaling is that no matter what happens, GTK4 still does the upscaling to 200% and then the downscaling to whatever fraction you want.
I think they had made some updates in 44 that means that that's no longer the case. And in 45 and 46, we're looking at proper implementation.
Yeah, I've heard that the proper fractional scaling will only be coming in GTK5. So I'm not sure how, but truly that is
we have to wait till 50? Is that how that's going to work?
No, that it will be called 500. It will be GNOME 500.
You just got to keep adding zeros every time.
Yeah, I then think 6,000.
And then 70,000. Yeah.
I'm kind of nervous of when the end of the day comes that I have to deal with fractional scaling because I have a 14-inch laptop. But the catch is that it's a 1080p screen, so I don't really have to worry about fractional scaling there. I'm looking to upgrade my main monitor, which is also 1080p, to maybe like a 1440 or a 4K monitor. So
1440 is where it's at, dude.
Yeah.
If you don't want to scale.
Yeah. Well, that will probably happen, but because since I've been using my laptop more, I'm noticing that things on the monitor are a bit too big. Because I've gotten used to the DPI of the laptop, so I think a 1440p monitor will be a good idea if I don't want to do scaling. And on my tablet, I just gave up and left it at 200%.
Right.
Because of all the Xwayland shenanigans that Xwayland doesn't really work well with fractional scaling.
Yeah, so I wonder what's going to happen first. Is Xwayland going to support better fractional scaling first, or is GNOME going to implement it properly? we'll see, I guess. But there will always still be X apps no matter what you do, so we still have to wait on XWillen regardless.
I think the only XWillen app that I want to be using on the tablet is VRC. I think it's X only, because when I look at the VRC options in Flatseal, I think it doesn't even give it Wayland by default, which is interesting.
Well, find yourself an Electron one, because Chrome and Chromium now have implemented the Ozone thing to do real Wayland support. That's baked in now, which means that the folks that are building their applications on Electron, when they upgrade their Chromium to what is current now,
if they upgrade their Chromium,
of course. I mean, I'm optimistic on this one. When they upgrade it, then they'll take it. They'll be able to
VLC based on Electron.
Oh, gross. But yes,
you got about 12 gigs of RAM to spare.
Yeah. Well, let's not get off on too much of a tangent, because what I want to do is I want to talk about Framework.
Can I quickly plug? I found a GTK4 based video. It's a front end to MPV. It's called Clapper, and I've been using it. It's a video player, and it's quite nice.
Cool.
So I would probably, and I've been using it more than VRC, just because it's more convenient to use on a touchscreen.
Well, if it scales,
it's better than Celluloid, which is also GTK.
I think, I'm not sure. I had both on install, but I will have to do more comparison.
Celluloid is the predecessor to the GNOME MPV.
Yeah. I know that it was Celluloid. When I tried it, was a bit buggy with the touchscreen, but maybe that improved, because I think it was back then when it wasn't even GTK4.
Right on. Leo.
All right, so you got a 16-inch option in Framework that comes with, I think, 5 or 6. I think it's 6 of the little pluggable modules. My favorite thing about the Framework is that the little modules on the side. You have 4 USB-Cs and little docking little situations there. There's 4 of them, and you can plug anything you want to in it. HDMI, display port, extra audio stuff, just a USB-C, USB-A, whatever. Like, go to the marketplace, you can see all of the different options. There's Ethernet there too, whatever you want. So the 16-inch version has 6 of these, whereas the 13-inch version has 4. But the big headline here, and this is something that I was saying, that I want to wait to buy a Framework until they come out with an AMD option. Well, I didn't wait. I bought the Intel one, but they finally came out with the AMD option. It is the AMD 7040, I believe, and I don't know. I don't know what the speed. Yeah, there it is. The AMD Ryzen 7040. I don't know how fast that is. Passmark doesn't have stats on it yet, so I suppose it's a little too early to tell. But I suppose it should keep pace with whatever Intel 13th gen they're gonna slap in the Intel side of these things. But that's gonna be good, man.
I'm looking at the website here, and I suppose it's assumable that the 7040 will be available in the 16, but they're not making it clear. They're just kind of like coming this year, Framework laptop 16, and then down below that.
Yeah, because the 16 doesn't exist yet. Like you can't get it yet, so I don't.
You can't even pre-order it. Doesn't look like.
I think you can. Maybe not.
Let me see here if I can find it in the marketplace.
The last time I looked at Framework's pricing, I think I was surprised by how the base model was actually cheaper than I assumed it would be. And
so they've got
but I also gotten too used to having a touchscreen on my laptop, and I don't. It's not even about using it as folding it and using it as a tablet. It's just a nice to have feature for me in a laptop configuration.
Yeah.
So I think when they release a touchscreen, not necessarily included in, maybe just, well, I imagine you would be able to pick and choose your screen even when you are buying one. But anyway, when they release a touchscreen, I might seriously consider buying one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything in the marketplace here for the 16 yet.
Yeah, and so
but there is a pre-order for the AMD Ryzen 7040 in the 13-inch.
You put down $100, and then they'll hold it for you and ship it to you in May. And that's fantastic. I don't know if I'm going to do the pre-order. I'll probably wait until the first batch comes out. I'm a little I'm a little conservative when it comes to hardware like that. I like to watch other people have it blow up in their hands before I do. So I suppose by the end of the year, I might have me one of these. But the reason why I love Frameworks so much, not just the pluggable little module thingamajigs that make your laptop into whatever configuration you want to, not just the high DPI screen, not just the really decent keyboard. It's the fact that everything inside it is modular, right? Just like the outside, the inside's modular too. So when you get an upgrade, if you go to the 12th gen, 13th gen Intel, or you go the AMD Ryzen route, Cooler Master has partnered with Framework to create a case that you can use. It's the Cooler Master mainboard case. You can put the Laptop 13 mainboard in it, and you still maintain the pluggable modules, and you're able to power it with external power, and you can just use it as a server. That's amazing, man.
That's cool.
This is something that I love about any company. If you allow me to take your hardware and keep using it after I feel like I'm done with it in the first round, then I love you. This is going to reduce a whole lot of waste. Man,
yeah.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And you get to...
Framework is what all computers should be at this point.
Because you can use all the other parts. You put the Ryzen... You have a laptop, and now you have this extra laptop now that you can do whatever you want to with. You can turn it into a desktop. It doesn't end up like that.
Yeah, the thing about this is one of the early Lenovo 2-in-1 laptops.
Yeah.
And its casing is plastic, and it didn't hold up very well.
Yeah.
And its screen is even dying. So I was thinking, if I could manage to take out the board and put it in a casing and somehow still have proper cooling, I would absolutely use it as a server.
Oh yeah.
But as it is now, it's not very feasible.
Yeah, but
maybe I could just try to remove the screen and see if that helps. And just this was being held on by the case. The bottom of the laptop was held on, and even the hinge of the screen was being held on in place by super glue.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on top of that, right? I mean, on top of the fact that you don't have to throw anything away, you don't have to waste.
I just literally threw it back onto the bed.
Yeah. Framework has also been doing a whole lot of work on their hardware side. People complained about the speaker. The speakers are downward firing, and when you have it on your lap, not good. Framework has added an 80 dB option, so it's about 20 dB louder than the previous set of speakers. I haven't gotten my hands on one of these. I do, but I just don't listen to the audio a lot from the laptop itself. So it's one of those nice to haves, but not a must have. But another thing that folks have been complaining about is screen wobble. So when you move it around, the screen kind of does this thing, right? I mean, the hinges are not the sturdiest hinges in the world, but they made them that way so that you could lift it up with just one thumb, right? So then they came out with a 4-kilogram hinge that you could still barely get it up with one finger, but most of the time you had to do the 2-finger thing, right? Hold the bottom down while you pull the top up. But that doesn't bother me. I didn't really care too terribly much. I want to get the 4-kilogram hinge just to get rid of the wobble. Well, they came out with a 2nd gen 3.5 kilo hinge that'll do the same job as the 4 kilo hinge, but while you still can do the nice, neat 1-finger open. So
I don't think any of my laptops can be opened with one hand.
Well, you don't have a framework
honestly.
yet. That's the answer to your question.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I got one last thing. This is why I love this company so much. This is why I don't think I'll ever buy another laptop. Another different brand of laptop. They just came out with a new battery. This was the other thing, the last thing that I know of that people were complaining about. The battery that ships with all the frameworks is a 55 watt-hour battery. You'll get on the up end, you'll get 6 hours of battery life if you're actually using the thing. I can get upwards of 8, but I'm in bed, not using any peripherals. Screen brightness is all the way down because the entire room is dark, and I'm writing. Right? Like I'm not surfing the web a whole lot. I'm not watching YouTube videos. I'm just writing. So I can get 7-8 hours somewhere in that range. But they did come out with a 61 watt-hour battery as well in this same announcement. a 61 watt hour battery for $10 more than the previous battery. Yeah, you can just buy batteries and swap them out, and it is not a huge ordeal to do so. You could do the whole job in 5 minutes. It's not as cool as the old ones where there was just like a clip and you could pop it out and put a new one in like 28 seconds. You do have to open the chassis, but the entire thing is impressively easy to do. So the 55 watt hour battery is on sale for $50, and the 61 watt hour battery when it ships will be $70. And you better believe I'll be buying the 61 watt hour battery when it comes out.
That is certainly worth an extra $20.
Yeah, give me more battery life any
Yeah,
day.
you're getting you're getting like an extra hour and a half or 2 hours or something like that. It's good. It's
my phone's
really
battery.
Gonna be good.
My phone's battery has been deteriorating quite noticeably lately, and I
replace it.
Yeah, I've been
predictably.
Yeah, and I've been thinking, well, it would be so nice to be able to just have a home replaceable battery in phones. I think the EU is pushing for that as well. I don't know how viable it is, because people keep mentioning that maybe that would mean you would have to give up water resistance and things like that. I personally would take a replaceable battery any day over water resistance.
Yeah, and maybe don't drop your phone in the water.
Even when I had waterproof phones, I never even really tried to submerge them because, well, maybe if I went to to a sea more often in the summer, maybe I would have a better risk. Wait, is water resistance is it also resistant to salt water?
It should be, but every time I ever see any of those kinds of advertisements for it, they're talking about chlorinated pools. That's like the only place I ever see it. Or dropping it into a cup of water. I used to think that didn't happen, and then someone I know very closely did exactly that in a big cup of tea. Like, had the phone in his hand, reaching down for the cup of tea. I don't know how you ended up using the same hand for it, but just whoop,
rotten luck,
right into the cup of tea. And I was like, huh, that does happen. Wow.
I hope the tea wasn't very hot still.
No, this is America. We do cold tea here all day. Okay, it's the South. I don't know about the rest of America, but here in Texas, we do unsweet tea or sweet tea. And if you ask for unsweet tea, most of the people look at you weird. And it's all black tea.
They got tea down there so sweet.
It's thick.
It's diabetes in a cup.
It's thick.
But if you let it sit for 5 minutes, it just settles to the bottom.
Oh,
that's how you know
they didn't do it right. They didn't.
You got a crappy. Yeah, that's how you know you got a crappy short.
They didn't do it right.
Tea.
They didn't heat it
sweet
up.
Tea.
They tried to stir in the sugar. You have to. What is it? Super
saturated. It has to be fused.
I learned about this in science class. You have to allow the sugar to be super saturated within the water, and to do that, you have to heat up the water to make it work. And then when it cools back down,
bind these molecules.
I know, man.
It's science,
right?
It is science.
These guys used science to get diabetes, and I love it.
I drink tea
these guys.
unsweetened, and I even drink black tea unsweetened. So it sounds really weird for me.
Especially now, I do too. Yeah, I don't really do.
The secret is to look for tea that is meant to be drunk unsweetened. I drink this Chinese Yunnan black tea, which is it's not bagged tea, so it's loose leaf, but it's also the Chinese drink it unsweetened. So if you buy a brand that the brand expects you to put sugar in it anyway, then it might not even taste good without sugar.
Yeah, well, I guess it doesn't really matter to me. I'm a water guy. I'm a hydro homie, if you will. I drink a lot of water, man. I think it's done me a whole lot of good. So. But I mean, I'm definitely not opposed to tea. One of my favorite teas, though, man, is an Earl Grey tea. I do love me some Earl Grey. And I had to Americanize it, man. Yeah, well, no, not really. I had to Americanize it, and so I was using like your not Sweet and Low. What do you got? Splendas and stuff to sweeten it up, so I wasn't drinking my calories, right? But then chilled it down, put a bunch of ice into it. Dude, that's really, really good sweet tea. I gotta say, it blows the stuff that we drink here in the South out of the water, man. Earl Grey, I don't know, it's the citrus or whatever that
what brand of flavor?
Yeah, that really makes it, that takes it one step above kind of what you can get around here. Because I
What
think what
brand?
you can get around here is just sweet water. That's really just
Mm.
it's just it's slightly flavored water that is extremely, extremely sweet.
What brand of Earl Grey do you drink?
What brand of what?
What brand of Earl Grey? Earl Grey is not a brand. It's a
No, I
it's
know.
type-
I don't know,
yeah.
man. It's not that serious. My store brand. So in Texas we have a grocery store called HEB. It is the best grocery store of all time. If I ever leave Texas, I will be very sad. Because of just nothing else really. Just the grocery store. So HEB brand. So wherever that comes from, you got me. Yeah.
What's it stand for?
Somehow we got to speaking about supermarkets
Butt,
again.
actually, it's his name. It's his initials, Harold Butt or something. I don't know what his name is, but he's doing us good, man. Prices are good.
Is it like how KDE and XFC used to stand for something, but now officially they don't?
I think officially it's still his initials. I just think officially nobody knows what his name is.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta look it up now. You got me. Howard E. Butt. That is what it stands for.
That he's got a name like Butt, and he still wants it. He wants that name. Well, I guess he couldn't call it Butts.
I mean, honestly, in Texas, he probably could. He'd probably get away with that.
We got a drugstore up here in Indiana called Butt Drugs, and they made this little kind of well, it was sort of a joke, but I mean, I suppose in the day when they started out, back in the 50s or whatever, nobody thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But nowadays, that kind of thing makes people chuckle. So they made this little video, the little commercial video, and it actually got aired on TV talking about how people just love butt drugs. Butt drug, got a little jingle going along with it. Butt drugs, butt
See
drugs.
what I mean? You just gotta own it, man. You just gotta own
Yeah,
it.
you gotta recognize what you got. Well, all right, we better wrap up. One announcement I do want to make, Mintcast. For those of you that don't know, all three of us kind of have Mintcast in our origin story. I'm still a part of the show.
We never did that episode,
although,
by the way. Did we?
What's that?
Our origin story, did we do that episode?
Well, we meant to on the first
Right.
episode, and then we just went off the rails, I suppose.
Well, that's just this show. This show is off the rails. We should have called it off the rails.
That was the whole point.
Yeah.
But they need hosts on that show. Mintcast is the kind of show that kind of works well when you've got more than a couple of people on there.
Well, see, but
and they
see,
need
if it doesn't work when you got more than a couple people on it, you just got to change the way the show works.
Yeah, good luck with that. I've made so many changes that the fundamental changes that I thought were kind of appropriate. I just knew I was going to get nothing but pushback, and if I didn't get pushback, I would end up losing a couple of people that I really didn't want to lose. So I just thought, yeah, I'm just going to take what I want to do and make a whole nother show out of it. And so now I'm a little in over my head.
Well,
Not gonna lie.
Well.
But it's fine. But they do need some hosts. So if you're wanting to make a debut into podcasting, oh shoot, even if you can't afford the gear, maybe we can pass a coffee can around or something. It's really not a huge barrier to entry. I mean, I've sank a lot of money into it, but it's not. If you got a laptop and a USB microphone, that's really all you need, because the built-in webcams on some of these laptops are fairly decent, I suppose.
Yeah.
Good enough.
A quiet room
for
would help
something like
too,
that.
if you got one.
Yeah. If you got a quiet place you can get away for. Now, Mintcast, I'm not going to lie, that's a brutal show to be on. This show right here.
Is it a brutal show to be on?
It can be 3 hours sometimes.
Well,
depending on the topic.
no, man. Like the people that didn't want to be on it for 3 hours just left at the 1 hour mark. That was a very big thing early on.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to stay the whole time. That's the thing, right? Like you just need to get buy-in from everybody. Let them know.
Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to lay down what your limitations
What are you gonna
are.
do, Bill?
Maybe.
Say no. you must stay for 2 more hours.
I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. It might be enough to make a couple of choice people take a good long look at what we're doing, you know. But yeah, if you're wanting to get your start in Linux podcasting, see, for me, it was, you know, I listened to Linux podcasts. That was kind of like my favorite form of entertainment. I mean, voices like Leo's were those were the celebrities in my life, you know. So when it came time I'm not kidding. When it came time to, when the opportunity came up, somebody announced, I think Joe announced at some point after Leo left, hey, we need some hosts. And I said, yeah, that sounds like me all day. Not really, but I really just, it was exciting, you know, to try to act like I was some kind of big shot or something, that maybe I knew enough about this stuff.
You just fake it till you make
personality.
it. I haven't made it either
right.
yet. I'm still faking
it. That is exactly it. That's exactly it. I mean, as long as you can make it sound like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
God knows
I say. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right. I mean, I've gotten more than my fair share of emails into the show telling me how wrong I am, you know, which is fine because it just means people are interacting with you, which is a positive thing. But if you're interested and you want to just try it out, get in touch with that show. They are Mintcast at mintcast.org is their email. They've got a Discord server. We've got a Discord server, but they've also got one, and they would prefer to interact on there. I guess Telegram is another preferred option as well. But get a hold of those guys, and I say those guys. I'm one of those guys. Get a hold of us. Let us know if you're interested, and we'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, if you got anything to say about what we've been talking about, our email address is linuxotc@proton.me. Our website is linuxotc.org, and there's links on there to all of our socials. I say all of them. There's like 3, plus the email. We got a Mastodon.
Social, so you know.
Yeah. Well, we've got a Mastodon now, and we've got a Twitter. Twitter gets, because that's built into the WordPress thing. They get the show announcements right away on that as soon as it gets posted. So that's kind of cool. There's also a thing on there for Facebook, but I've not made a Facebook account, and I've got no desire to do that.
Get ready, Linux OTC on the TikTok.
We use TikTok for 3 Fat Truckers to. Steve does that. He posts new shows on there, and he's kind of rage quit them because he didn't like a couple things they were doing.
Like highlights?
He didn't like that trivia thing that was popping up for a while.
What?
It's stopped, but he got irritated at that.
It just downvoted.
It was this thing that,
and you don't see it as much.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit beyond his technical prowess, but
he should be a
congressman.
At any rate.
Exactly. He should be making our decisions for us. Why not?
Wow.
The rest of them do.
I really tried to avoid watching short form videos, but every now and then I just somehow find myself on either YouTube Shorts.
It's called addiction, Norbert.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is that
you can burn up a whole day on it.
I haven't been using Instagram at all lately, and because I unfollowed almost all the accounts that I was following there because I'm just not using it anymore. And whenever I happen to open Instagram, the algorithm just doesn't know what posts to bring up for me. So at one point I just looked at a couple of videos of parrots, and now whenever I open Instagram, I just get bombarded with short videos of pets. Mostly parrots, and sometimes I find myself looking at those because at one point I do plan to get a parrot.
Yeah, it's the algorithm, man. They got you.
They know you better than you know yourself. Anyway, let's get out of here. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, I've been Bill.
I've been Norbert.
I've been Leo.
See you guys.